So let's now look at some student examples so you know how to aim for A quality work. So these both are A quality, even though there are some white grooves from whatever they were drawing on top. This is a workbook, it's not a final artwork, and that's just something, if that shows up on yours, to be aware of. I'm not going to mark you down for white grooves inside of your workbook, but if yours looks like this, then you know that you have that A quality. Let's look at some more examples. So this is an example of a student that just rushed to try to get something done. This is not going to be worth any points. This has nothing to do with the techniques that were taught. So don't rush through, don't shade with lines. Here is where he drew underneath and attempted to slow down. So he has a bunch of these boxes everywhere in his second attempt. He did pretty good. The only thing is his circles turned a little bit into ovals because you can start to see a pattern going back and forth. And he just needed to stay in one area long enough to get rid of these white grooves or these white spots. Here's what the texture will look like if your pencil is too dull or you're holding it on its side. So you can see actually the width of the pencil, but you can see how it gets darker on the top parts of the paper and then those white pits don't ever get shaded in. So hold your pencil at a high angle. This is the same scenario where the pencil is too low. And the pencil again is too low. And you see the white groove. Again, I'm not taking off points, but just be aware of that. We don't want that happening on our projects. And here's another example where the pencil was too low, where it's really blotchy and it's not getting into those cracks. The pencil's too low and they started shading in lines. They smudged. And so this is what I'm talking about. You may get tempted to do this, but don't. I won't grade it. It just ends up looking really splotchy and dirty, and so don't ever smudge. Here's a good example of the student was doing the technique right. They just weren't staying in an area long enough to get it smooth. And so that's why you have all of these gaps, not from it being shaded on the side of the pencil, but just because they just needed to stay there a little bit longer before they left and then go back and revisit. So that's it. Make sure that you study and use the techniques that are on the shading worksheet and you go very slow. You end up getting done quicker because you don't have to redo anything. And that is it for this tutorial.